Hello everyone and welcome to the Enemies Ilia, and today let's talk about the training arc within the Tower of God Webtoon series. Learning better Shinsu control is needed, as we learn it takes on many different qualities / elements. While also fighting their sworn enemies, our main cast must undergo some treacherous training. Also, within the midst of all of this training, in the background on a different floor, a fearsome fight begins and takes place between young Maschenny Jahad versus young Data Jihad. That fight, from a visual standpoint, was amazing, and the choreography of that fight and the meaning behind it also was brilliant. However, I want to start off by talking about the information we learn about V within this arc. As we learn more about the differences between V and Jihad, as we now know, when Jihad gained more and more power, along with the rest of the other 10 great family household members, they started losing interest within the tower's people, while V grew more and more interested in the tower's people as they continued to climb up floor by floor. The two were complete opposites, with Arlene being the peacekeeper between the two of them. And now, after hearing all of this new information, I am less convinced that V actually killed himself, as his rivalry between V and Jihad was common knowledge amongst the travelling companions. So to me, Jihad does come across as a little bit petty at times. And he definitely seems like the type of guy who would kill anyone who stands in his way or doesn't agree with him. As well as the fact is, if he saw anything as a threat, he would immediately eliminate it. So who's to say he doesn't do this with V, just like he did it with the native ones back when they were travelling with all the other 10 great family household members. Especially after learning the fact that V and Arlene, the girl that Jihad loved, had a baby together. I can definitely see Jihad losing his cool and attacking V once Arlene was out of the way due to a broken heart after losing her child. So maybe the story of V committing suicide was actually all a lie, and something more is actually going on in the background. Because as we learn more and more information, I'm more and more less convinced that V committed suicide and actually Jihad had a hand to play in his death. Plus, I really did like the line that Kuhn mentioned, in where he stated if it was up to him, V would be the one to be their leader. But in the end, the leader was Jahad. Now, the explanation of different Shinto qualities was explained very well within the series, seeing how when Shinto qualities externally manifests, it's called quality manifest Shinsu control. Whereas if manifest within your body to help grant you more power, it's known as internal quality Shinsu control. Pretty simple concept when you think about it. The usefulness of obtaining a Shinsu quality that suits you as a person is that it gives you, or gives your Shinsu, more density / tension. This makes it better than ordinary Shinsu that we've seen our cast use throughout the series so far. This then allows you as the user of Shinsu more destructive attack power without the need of enlarging the size of your bangs or increasing the number that you use for a particular attack. Plus, this segment ends with another piece of information about V, and also the 10 great families, as V held the most Shinsu tension ability that he was able to use within their entire group, even though he was not the wave controller of the Irregulars travelling group when they first conquered the tower. Now we get to experience a nice change of pace within this arc, as Bam is the one giving Kuhn a motivational speech. This arc does focus a lot on Kuhn's character, in him overcoming his acceptance of his family's heritage and overcoming his own sense of pride. Kuhn has never really been one to train himself for something that he believes is a meaningless struggle. Thanks to Kuhn being too prideful, his ideas are putting an effort on things that he is not certain about the outcome just seems like a waste of time. Which to me does wreak out a little bit of a contradiction, considering when you see the effort he puts into training when with Evan before the floor of death in improving his light bearer skills. So that's kind of a bit of a contradictory kind of statement versus his actions he's done in the past, but I guess we can move along to the next point. Nevertheless, seeing how much Kuhn has grown throughout this arc was a great sight to behold. Plus, there still lies improvement for his character to develop in the future, as he could not fully create that ice spear. Instead, he coated a spear that was given to him in ice, thus playing to Kuhn's quick thinkingness and strategy skills. And we do end off the entire arc itself with Kuhn seemingly becoming more friendly towards Eden Kuhn, aka his father. After the sworn enemies disappear, he says he's a good father. That's why Kuhn was able to grow so much. Where before, Kuhn barely even looked at him in the eyes. But Kuhn, why would you say that Bam's weakness is durability, when we as a reader have seen Bam tank a literal black hole? Like, yeah, you want to rethink your strategy there, buddy, because durability is not Bam's weakness. So then, sticking with the main three characters, Bam's development here was beautiful to behold, as it turns out that he created his sworn enemy out of the fear of being alone. It's more accurate to say that the vile Joel Graces that was created as Bam's sworn enemy seemed to manifest from his overwhelming feeling of loneliness back from when he was taken by Thug. Bam fears of going back to that time where he was the only person keeping himself company, telling himself that one day someone will come and find you. Bam state he felt at his loneliness in Thug because he finally found friends before that to lose. And yeah, that does hold some real life sort of meaning, because as soon as we obtain something in the real world, in real life, and we lose that something, we want it even more. We're desperate to have that thing back. So from Bam saying this, I can 100% relate to this personally, and I like that. You can even link Bam's desperate chase after Rachel at the beginning of Season 1 to his fear of reverting back to his lonely lifestyle. Bam does not want to go back to that cave where the only person keeping him company is himself. That's why he chased after Rachel, or at least one of the reasons as to why he did so. Bam's sworn enemy was a standout character for me in this arc, as he was shown to give off a lot of emotion, screaming at Kuhn and Rak, explaining how much pain and suffering he had to tolerate because of his time in Thug, and the threat of his friends' lives towering over his head. He did all he had to do, and now his friends want him to disappear because he's a fake. He does not agree with that. And when that line was delivered, that was delivered perfectly and gave me chills while reading. The scene where Bam accepted his sworn enemy was a beautifully drawn scene with some brilliant lighting effects added in. Plus, it looks like we're getting another rice pot segment in the next arc, so it looks like we're going to see more of Bam's inner self, which means we can see the demon, and by God, we need to see that demon, because whatever the hell it is, that thing is growing mentally. The new development stages it has looks incredible. That's all I can really say about it. And the power that Bam unleashes after obtaining the ability to use an orb is overwhelmingly insane. So next up, Rak. He was hilarious in this arc, and I really loved the comedy. For example, eating rocks to help him manifest his stone shield, which worked once, until he tried it again and his hands started turning to stone, which turns out that he is a native one. A descendant of a giant who lived in the tower before Jahad and his companions arrived. A being who possessed a great deal of power. Power that Jihad was afraid of, essentially, otherwise why would Jihad wipe out all of the native ones? This giant even had the honour of travelling with all of Jihad and the other 10 great family households members, V and Arlene, so he must have been able to pull his weight in strength. Knowing that as a fact, then things do start to make a bit more sense as to Jihad's actions. So apart from that, there's not really a lot more to say about Rak. As a new power and the information we learned about him I thought was pretty cool, for his character at least, but I don't see him getting all of the other elements / powers of the original giant that broke itself into multiple sort of entities. I think Stone suits Rak just fine, and I don't think he needs any other ability apart from that. Maybe improve his spearman skills, but yeah, good source of comedic enjoyment. Rak, you're always funny, and he delivered that in this one. So another surprising character from this arc for me personally, and one that intrigues me a lot, is that pink Sleepyhead character. She's been really getting me thinking about what her motivations could possibly be within arcs leading up to these events, showcasing a few sort of sus sort of traits in her expressions and body language. But nevertheless, from this arc particularly, she shows tremendous skill. She calls her sworn enemy Uncle, who honestly I thought looked like a pink-haired version of Hung Sung-yu. However, the dialogue between the two of them was very eye-raising. As it's been apparent for a while that something obviously is going on with this pink-haired character, she's not really been too forward in terms of helping our main cast out and our heroes. But throughout this entire arc, she has been pulling her weight a little bit more. But it's here we learn that she has a dream to fulfill. A dream that requires Bam to open some form of door. Now, this dream of hers, I do not believe is her own. I think she has been made to believe that it is her own dream, when in reality, it's something that's been fabricated by her family / uncle. Now, this might sound a little bit dark, but I do think her uncle put her through some traumatic experiences in the past. Now, why he would do so, I have no idea. Maybe to make her stronger, or to make her resent her family in order to push her down towards a certain path. This would explain why her uncle became her sworn enemy, as well as the fact is why there was such an evil grin of like success or happiness on his face before he perished. It wasn't the type of smile that you would give to someone if you're like, I did all of that bad things and now you finally fulfilled what you truly are meant to do. Like, it wasn't a smile of gratitude or enlightenment or excitement. It was more of a she thinks she's won, but trust me girl, you have no idea. It was kind of more of that vibe I got from it, at least anyway. Nevertheless though, my interest in this character has increased a lot thanks to this teasing of information. I really do want to see where this character goes in the future. A clap for our fallen heroes. You battled bravely and managed to fulfill your wish of fighting Jihad. But unfortunately, Maschenny, Jihad, and Marco Asensio has now died. But the way they went out, I thought, was the best possible way they could have. I love the classic dying on your feet trope that they have in anime and in manga. I think that's awesome. And seeing Maschenny, Jihad, do that, I thought was great. Although Jihad didn't really have to try, he wasn't fazed by many of the attacks that were sent his way, he did still have to put up a bit of resistance, which makes me even more hyped for the showdown between Bam and Jahad, because it means that Bam has to get stronger than the point that Maschenny Jihad was at in this point of being data when facing Jihad. To even make Jihad, try at least. So I can't wait to see what development, what fruits of training come from Bam's training. Not really the right phrase, but you get what I mean. Now, the art was amazing during this fight, and the structure of said fight was perfectly laid out, as the fight doesn't harm either character involved, as we know already what a powerhouse Maschenny Jihad truly is, as it gets displayed in both this fight and in the one prior with the big breeder. So her losing doesn't negatively affect her character in the slightest. Plus, learning her desires in wanting to fight the real Jihad serves as a possible plot thread that we can unravel in the real world with the older Maschenny Jihad. Maybe that's why she wants the 13-month weapons from Yuri, because if you remember, back when we had the Name Hunt Station arc, it ended with Maschenny Jihad wanting to challenge Yuri Jihad for the Green April. Maybe Maschenny still holds that desire to fight Jihad in the real world. Now, one thing I noticed while editing this video, and it did just occur to me, was that when we saw in the last arc, Endorsi faced Jihad, she froze in her place. Just like, for a split second, Maschenny Jihad did as well upon seeing Jihad's younger data for the very first time. So this got me thinking, maybe there's like a failsafe type of implementation into the making of a Princess of Jihad that prevents them from momentarily attacking Jihad upon seeing him. Or maybe they have to see his 3 red eyes, and that transfixed them into a state of paralysis based on their combat experience and their strength or power. Maybe because Maschenny Jihad in this form is still a lot stronger than Endorsi, she was able to snap herself out of that paralysis or that freezing momentarily in order to gain the courage to fight Jihad once more. Or maybe it just links to their resolve to fight him. Maybe because his pressure and spirit is overwhelming, that it crushes any normal person. Even someone like Endorsi Jihad, who you think has an abundance of self-confidence. Even in the face of Jihad's presence, she is helpless. But because Maschenny had that will, that desire to fight Jihad, that's what made her snap out of it and allow her to proceed and attack him. I'll be very interested to see how another princess fares up when facing against Jihad later on in the series, if we ever do get to witness that. Because if we see any similarities, then I think we could be onto something by thinking there's some sort of fail-safe plan / solution in the transferring of Jihad blood into making a Princess of Jihad with that process. I could be making complete nonsense, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. But we'll go back to my original thoughts now. Let's go. Now finally, I guess we need to talk about a few disappointing things from this arc. Not really a lot to say, if I'm honest with you, because I enjoyed the arc pretty much all the way through. But one disappointing thing was learning Hoquin's sworn enemy. It was just a bunch of swords. I thought that was kind of lame. And what happened to him losing the will to live after his humiliating display on the floor of death against Gustang? Seems like his character kind of found the will to live and turned himself around pretty quickly without any on-screen development, which I thought was a little bit of a meh. Why? But overall, I really liked this arc, and it delivered on the action, but it does also feel like the calm before the storm. Like I said, then all the new information we've been given was great to learn about and helped expand the world within the series of the Tower of God even further. And the art style was top tier throughout. I don't remember seeing a single panel that was poorly drawn. So SIU, you did amazingly for this arc. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with the next couple of them. Well, for the rest of the series, of course, but you know what I mean. So with all that being said, I want to know what your thoughts are on the things that I've mentioned in this video, as well as some of the things that I missed if I have. Feel free to let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below, and hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit that like button, subscribe for more Tower of God content, and of course, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. Alligator, madane, goodbye.